in China. So on that note, I'm kindly asking Sheikh Alpha Umaru Bari, our noble doctor, who is in Wuhan, is a man of integrity who many scholars are looking up to. He has done a lot back home and even in China. We have seen his contribution towards the lives of so many people, he have contributed to. So, Sheikh Umaru Bari, we want to welcome you for an opening prayer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And like you said already, I am Alpha Umaru Bari, your brother. So without wasting any time, let's say Amen. This is a prayer for knowledge. Let us pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God Almighty, grant us knowledge. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا اللهم علمنا بما أنفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم ربي زدنا علما نافعا والحقنا بالصالحين. Oh Allah Almighty, we pray unto you, we ask you at this moment, we pray that we are starting this meeting in your name, this training, may you be the facilitator. May you grant the facilitator so much intelligence such that he can impart knowledge into us, a knowledge that is beneficial this world and hereafter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are the God of wisdom, you are the God of knowledge. We ask, we seek from your knowledge that you grant us the knowledge as participants so that we understand and have the benefits from this training. Thank you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We want to pray for our Student Union executive and the general membership for having put this team together for this academic activities. We are a committee and we are working towards ensuring that we help one way or the other our colleagues. Allah Almighty grant this team the blessing, grant the chairman a blessing, a divine grace, and open more doors for all of us who are studying here. All participants of this training, I pray for them that Allah grants them the total wisdom so that we can all understand and gain from this training. Thank you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. الفاتحة. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Sabari, for this wonderful prayer. Hope Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer our prayers.
Amen. Amen, bro.
On the next agenda, we want to invite the number one gentleman of our union, who is no longer the person, but the president of the Sierra Leone Students Union in China, Mr. Lovell Fona, to give a brief statement and the purpose of our, training section. Mr. Fona, if you are around.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Chairman, for the Academic Excellence Committee. Let me start by thanking you and your team for putting this together, and also extend my heartfelt gratitude to TIT for them taking up this great adventure to help us enhance our academic performance. In our manifesto, we clearly stated that academic and skill enhancement is a priority for us, and we will try as an executive to find ways and ensure we're able to enhance our academic performance in China. So bringing up this training today means a lot, and I believe we'll have to seize the opportunity and learn during the process. The purpose of the training is for us to be able to impact colleagues with a type of skill that can be able to earn you a job in the future. And like I said earlier in our free communication with the student bodies, that R as a software is a growing software that it is everywhere. The skill is demanding, and every workforce are using it now. Every academic area, whether you are from the social science or pure science, you need to be able to master some of these software. So today's training is purposely for us to be able to find ways to give to our community, to give to the student body, so that everybody can be able to have something at the end of the day that will make the difference in terms of software knowledge. So this is history in the union for the very first time for us to have it. And we are looking forward to having a very good session. And I pray that all of us will continue to attend until the end, and certificates will be given to everyone who participates from day one to the end. Thank you very much, and I wish all of us a very good and pleasant training. Over to you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. President. We've had you, and you've already know the wisdom behind this, the brief statement of our number one gentleman of our union. To the next task, I'm privileged to introduce our facilitator this evening. Our trainer covers wealth of knowledge in the IT world. Our facilitator is known by the name of OLANO Teah BLOH. He is a certified network associate and routine engineer of NIMCO, a certified ubiquitous wireless brown band administrator, a certified system administrator, a certified Siemens process control engineer. He studied network engineering at the National Institute of Information Technology in Liberia and studied automation engineering at China Tree George University. He studied computer science and technology at Hohai University, China, and currently is a PhD fellow at the same university, studying computer science and technology. He served as Vice President for Liberia Students Union in China, President Emeritus of the College of Electrical Engineering and New Energy, a quick learner and a technical result-oriented individual, founder and CEO of Teah Innovative, providing tech education globally. Ladies and gentlemen, join hands with me as we welcome our trainer, our facilitator, who has got a wealth of knowledge and impact wealth of knowledge to many, many, many scholars around the globe, Mr. OLANO Teah BLOH. Welcome, sir, and have this section.
Okay, my salon people, howdy, buddy. Can you guys hear me? If you can hear me, just let me know in the chat box.
Fine.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah. Loud and clear, sir.
All right, so probably you can let us know where you are joining us from. Loud and clear. Okay, so let's make use of the comment section. Let us know where you are joining us from, probably which city, maybe if it's Nanjing, if it's Beijing, or whatever city you are joining us from. Or if you are joining us from Salon, you can also let us know if it's from Bowatersa or Freetown or whatever place you are joining us from. Just let us know in the chat box. People are joining from Jilin, Shanghai, Xi'an, Nanjing, Zhejiang, Nanjing. Okay, I have a couple of my Nanjing people here. So thanks so much to the leadership of the Sierra Leone Students Union in China. I'm grateful for the invite, and it's an honor to be with you guys here tonight, based on your time zone, to share whatever knowledge we have on the subject matter. So we will be journeying you through a 3 days comprehensive training on R and RStudio. And we hope that at the end of this training, you will be able at least to analyze just a single data set, or to generate even just a graph from a mini data set or data that you have. So that's our intent. And as the president rightly stated, prioritizing education under his leadership And I'm grateful that I'm part of that, or those people that implementing his manifesto. Thanks so much to all of the beautiful people of Sierra Leone, home and abroad. Thank you guys so much. And without much ado, I bring you greetings from TIT. And we are here today to share with you. So you are always welcome to feel free. And at any point in time, once we are explaining, you can pause us and ask your question, probably based on what we have talked. You can ask a question through the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask a question. For the attendance and certificate, the committee will spearhead that, so they will be in touch with you for all of that. But at any point in time, if you have questions, even after the training, if you have questions, you can reach out to the president or Mr. Masakwe, and then he will share my contact with you. If you still need maybe further explanation, then we'll be available to help you as well, to explain whatever we have said, or probably whatever thing you have to understand about R or RStudio. So that's it from an end, and let's move into business. So now, firstly, I want to know how many people.
I can't see you.
Yeah, my camera is off. My camera is off, so you cannot see me. How many of you have already installed? You are not required to turn on your camera now, maybe until when it's time for attendance. For now, we just focus on the screen that I'm sharing for now. So let me know in the chat box if you have already installed the R and RStudio. If you have installed R and RStudio, just put maybe yes in the chat box. Just say yes. Let me know probably if we have more people. Okay. All right, because it's going to be the reason why I'm asking. Thank you so much for your responses. A lot of people already have. So the reason why we are asking is because this is going to be practical. It's not like you come to just explain and then you leave. So it's going to be practical. So in case you join without your computer or you don't have R installed, it's going to be a little bit difficult for you. So since you already have it, this is my screen. If you can see it, this is the view of RStudio. And the version we are using here is version 4.4.1.
I still can't see you.
I see the screen.
Can you see my screen?
You can't see for now. He's sharing the screen.
Okay.
All right. So let me know if you have the same version that I have, our version 4.4.1, because some versions like version 3.2.1 or version 3.43 or 4.3.4 won't have some packages, or they won't have some data set available in it. So that's why we give you a link that can take you directly to where we already have 4.4.1. So if you already have the same 4.4.1, let us know, or you can verify that once you open up your RStudio. You can verify that by coming here on the console, and you will see 4.4.1. So if you are using 4.3.2, you have to use the website that Safas shared in your group, and then download the 4.4.1. But if you also have the 4.3 something, you can see if maybe you can go along with us. But if you have any problem along the way, it's going to be mostly related to the version. Probably you will see that the version is telling you that this package was not built with R432. So that means you need to upgrade your version. So that's the first thing. So R and RStudio, they are two different things. R and RStudio are two different things. That's just the first clarity that I want to provide. And R is the language. The same way you have different programming languages like Python, like you have JavaScript, you have Java, you have Ruby, you have different programming languages. It's the same way you have R as a programming language. So R is a programming language. But RStudio now gave us a platform, because if you just use the R, you are going to get an interface that is not user-friendly. You are going to get an interface that you will not have the opportunity to see this environment. You will not be able to see like where you can see the files, plot, packages, help, and all these things. You will not see it if you just use the R itself. But with RStudio, we are able now to see different windows. So like an example that I will give, or to describe this RStudio and R, is like you having a vehicle, you have a car. So R is the engine. Consider R as the engine, and RStudio is the frame of that vehicle. So the frame of a vehicle can have different exterior shape and design that makes your engine or your car beautiful. Because just the engine itself is not beautiful. Engines have so many things, complications and a lot of things going through with the engine. So it's not user-friendly. It's not a place where people just want to go and play. So a place that we created to play is called the RStudio. So with the RStudio, we can interact now with our engine, which is R. So that's just the clarity that I want to provide. And also, some of you might be asking why not any other data analysis software? Why R? And one thing I would say is that R is by far the best among all of what you know, like Stata or SPSS. R is better than SPSS, R is better than Stata. But probably one reason why you might have not used R before is because many people are not interested in even typing or what we call writing code. So that's one reason. But then with R, you can be able to customize your plots. You can be able to customize most of what you are doing, which you cannot do with SPSS. When SPSS gave you some graphs or some results, you are not able to customize it the way you want it. But R gave you that ability to do so. That's one advantage of R. If you have not installed the R yet, we are not going to cover it in this session. So probably you can meet Safa, or you can later on admin on WeChat, and I'm going to help you. My WeChat ID is IT_guru_B. So if you can see my screen, this is my WeChat ID. You can add me on WeChat, and then probably I can help you if you have any difficulties, probably understanding what we are discussing today, or probably you need to also install R. I can help you after the class. All right, so I'm going to leave it here. And then next thing, when it comes to RStudio or R and other data analysis software, you can also do data analysis using Python, but then also it's similar to programming, and it's not dedicated mostly to data analysis. So Python does a whole lot of things. So you want to have something dedicated to analysis of data, R will be better than Python to some extent. But then since many people use SPSS, Stata, and others, it's important to know that R, for some of you that install it, you are able to download it and install it for free. No one asks you to pay anything. It is free of charge. But you cannot do that with SPSS or Stata. You need to pay to use it, or probably your university have to give you an account that you can use, or maybe your company or whatever place you are, or your friend can maybe give you their account for you to use. So if you are somebody who needing something that you can use for free, that can give you the same result and even better, then R and RStudio is the best place for you to be. Instead of using something that you have to pay for at the end of, guys, can you hear me? Someone say I'm silent. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah,
Okay.
we can hear you.
All right. So that's just the basis or the clear understanding that I wanted to give you when it comes to R and RStudio, because these are some of the questions that people have. They have already heard about SPSS. They have already heard about Stata and other data analysis tools. So why R? So I think what I've just said might also give you a little bit of understanding as to why you are learning R or why R. And R right now is taking over. R has a large community, wherein a community means if you have questions, you can go online and ask your question. You will get a lot of support from resources that other people have shared online. And there are a lot of materials also out there for R and RStudio. So you don't have to worry if you have any problem. Now let's move into it. So if you have your RStudio already open, just let us know in the chat box by sending number one in the chat box if you already have your RStudio open. Okay, so few people already have it open. All right, now we can move on. So if the RStudio open, you have similar view like I have now. And in this view, we have different windows. Like I describe it as a vehicle or as a car. We are taking this car to be a car that has 4 doors or 4 windows. We have the driver's seat. We have maybe 3 other passenger seats. One passenger is sitting beside the driver, and then another passenger is sitting behind. So from this view now, we can only see 3 windows. We can see this one. We can see this one that has the environment, the history, connection, and tutorial. And then we can also see another window here that has file, plots, packages, and all kinds of things, right? There's another window, another passenger window. And that window gave us the opportunity for us to write our codes, for us to write our commands, for us to write our instruction. So it mostly serving as a notebook or a notepad where you can write everything you want to write. It could be maybe just making some comments or writing the actual code. One way to do that is for you to come here where you have this plus sign, or you come to
I'm not
file.
still seeing you.
I think you are just the only one, so please check your device. So you can come to file, and then you come here to new file, and you can choose our script. If you click on our script, it's going to come up to give you this view that you just see above here, this empty view above here. I will repeat, you come to file, new file, our script. It's going to give you this view. Another way that you can get it, you can come here to this plus and you click on this drop down. Right here, you're going to see our script. You can also click on it. It's going to give you the same thing we saw before. Another way you can also open this one is if you out to the files area, you can also come here and create a new one, our script. So this our script that you are creating here will be saved in your current working directory, which we are going to explain shortly. So mostly, or as a recommendation, it's always good to open it from here, from this plus sign, our script. Or you come to file, new file, our script. If you observe, R also have different kinds of things to work with. For example, under this R script, we also have something called Quarto document. In Quarto document, we have the ability to write our code and as well explain the code, also put some documentations, a whole lot of maybe paragraphs and everything into that same document. And then we also have the ability to allow the next person that we are sharing that document with to see the result of the code, or to just see only the code, or to see only the result. So if you want to, maybe you already did the graphs, you did everything, and you want to share that as a PDF document to your supervisor, but you explain all of the processes in that document, and you want to share the result, just only the graph, not the code to be shown, you can use Quarto document for that. It's more the same as you have our notebook. Our notebook, our Markdown, they are doing almost the same thing. Similarly, if you have used, there's another one from Microsoft, it's called Microsoft Collabs. If you use Microsoft Collabs, it also works as a notebook. It also works similarly to Quarto document. Or if you have ever used Jupyter Notebook, it also works similarly to Quarto document or Arrow Notebook. Also, the website I will share to you to download Arrow. If you go back to that website, that is TIT website, below the website, you will see different projects on Shining Web App that was created by TIT using RStudio called Shining Web App. This web app, you can create your own data and then visualize your data and make your data to become an application that can run on a website or in a browser. You also have the ability to do something like that. You can also interact with a CSS file, a C file, C++, Java, Python, SQL, and a whole lot of things you can do with Arrow. That's one thing that makes Arrow to be so powerful than many of these other data analysis software that you have. My app took me directly to my file when I click on file. I don't understand why you're saying my app took me directly to my file. We have not clicked on any app yet, but just wait. Maybe you would understand where we are going. So these are just things that I wanted to drill you through. And also on our files, we have different options, similar options, like if you have used Microsoft Word before, these things are probably the same, save as, open file. These things are just constant with many other applications that you have used before, so it shouldn't be much of a problem. But one more thing here on this one that is very useful is the option for you to import your data set. So if you have your data set in Excel or CSV or the text file or XPSS or Stata or SAS, you can directly import it to Arrow. So maybe your data is giving you a problem from SPSS and you want to maybe modify it or make it much more better. By using Arrow, you can import your data set into Arrow and then do more analysis on your data set. These are not just the only options, but you can import literally any kind of data set into Arrow. It can be medical data. I'm going to share a PDF with Safa after day one, and then he's going to share with you as well. So you can see the different kinds of inputs that we can make. So you can import different kinds of data set. It's not only restricted to these ones that you are seeing. You can import literally any kind of data set into Arrow. So that document will be shared. I've prepared a document as well for you. We cannot import all of the documents or all of the data set during this training. It's going to take much of a time. So we're just going to work with Excel and CSV for now. So that's one thing I wanted to show you also on this file area. Now the next place we want to go, and Temina is showing me this, how can I change the language? Try to use the website that we gave. Though you still have the same R441, but I think your language is in Chinese. So try to use the one that we gave, because I think your CRAM that you used to download is what gave you this problem. So use the website that we gave. Uninstall it and install the new one. Or you wait. At a later date, I'm going to show you how to change the language. But it should still be able to allow you to do other things without, this one you are seeing in the chat box here is just from your console. So we're going to show you it later on. So the next place we want to see is below this area where we can tap all of our codes or whatever. Below it, we have console, we have terminal, we have background job. Yeah, just to your console. The rest of it should be in English, so don't worry. So we have the console, the terminals, and background job. So here you can be able as well in the console to tap your commands as well. So the console area work basically the same way you're going to work directly with Arrow. If you don't want to use RStudio and you just want to use the Arrow by itself, this is the view that is going to give you. You're only going to get this view without the other options of seeing where you can write your code, your environment, and any other things. Arrow is just going to give you this one where you can see the console. So in this one, you can also install your packages. You can also tap your code. But one of the disadvantages of you tapping your code directly into the console is that every line you run gets executed. So if you're having any problem, you probably have to redo, and it's going to cause so much complication for you as a beginner. But if you are skilled at using Arrow, then you can also use the console to write your code as well, which is not recommended. But we're going to see probably how we can make use of the console in a later session. Also from this console, we can be able to clear the entire console. Probably we have done a lot of work and our console is literally messed up. We are seeing so many things and we don't know probably where we are. You can clear the entire console to give you a fresh start. To do that, you can hold the control key on your keyboard. That is the key that has the CTRL. That key, you can stick your finger on it and then you press L. If you press L, you can see that it's going to clear your entire console. Another option you have is for you to use the brush. There is a brush here in the upper right corner of the console area. Once you click on that brush, it's also going to clear every other thing you have on your console. So it's going to be useful as you keep tapping or keep running different things. Your console is going to get messed up. So you want to make sure you clear your console. You want to make sure you clear your console at all times. Sorry, let me just maybe this person. So you want to make sure you clear your console at all times. The next place we want to also view, because as we keep moving forward, the next day, we're not going to come back to these things. We expect us to already understand the usage of these things. That's why we are taking our time on them. So tomorrow or another time, it shouldn't be like, oh, where did he do this or where did he get this? The next place we have, the next window we have on this vehicle or on this car is a place where we can see our environment, history, connection, all of that. So every other command or every other thing you have tapped before will be saved into history. Every other thing you have tapped before will be saved into history. So maybe if you want to check, even though you have already cleared your console, but there is a code that you ran, or probably there was a line or a command that you executed, you can check your history and then see probably the right instruction you used to run that line. It's very useful as well. But let's talk about the environment. This environment gave us the opportunity to see every other data set we are importing into R. So if you import your data set into R, you're going to see it from the environment. So if your option is already on tutorial, you can bring it back to environment, and then you will see every other thing you have on your environment. Every other data set or every other variable you have created will be saved to your environment. But then your environment, you can also save it and open it probably on another computer to continue your work, or even open it on the same computer to continue your work. So to save it, you can use the option here, the save button, and then the save option is the same way as you can save any other document from any other software you have used before. If you have saved it before, you can also open your environment that you have saved before. So to open another environment is to use this option here. Also, it gave you an option to import dataset. The same way we saw it from file, import dataset, we also have a shortcut right here for us to import our dataset. So we have the option here as well to import our dataset. At any point in time, you can also clear. Yeah, we'll try to see if we can send the video as well. But TIT also have a video on the YouTube channel covering these things as well. So Mr. Safa will share the link with you guys, and then you can photo shoot. So don't worry, videos will be shared. So the next thing is you can see the memory that is currently being used by RStudio and R. You can see the memory that is currently being used here. And if your environment is also getting messed up, you can also clear your environment by using the brush sound here. Use this brush sound to clear your environment. Now let's view the last window, and after this, we're going to get into action. The last place we have is File, Plot, Packages, Help, Viewer, and Presentation. So on our files, we can see all of our files and probably folders or directories that we have. And one thing that you want to do is easier for you to just create a working directory from here, or import a file from here, or the data set from here, or probably change your working directory from here as well. So one way we can do that, let's say for example, let's see if we can find a working directory here. Let's say for example, we want to make our files. Let's find one file that would be useful. But before we find the file, let me show you first so that you can know the advantage of it. In here in our console, we can check to know which directory. Directory means the folder you are currently working in. Because sometimes if you are saving your graphs and other things, they get saved directly into your working folder or your working directory. So to see your working directory or the folder you are currently working in, you can use get. And once you tap get, R is going to give you options. R is always going to pop up options. And then beside the option is going to give you something that you can read about that option. So here you can see the description it gives, get or set working directory. So it's going to show you the folder or the path you're currently working in. So since it have already given me the suggestion, I'm going to go with that suggestion. Directory, the same as path. Directory is technically similar to path, but also it might not be related to path. What I say so is this: directory is just like a folder you are working in. Path shows you the road you took to reach at that folder. So probably let's say directory can be Sierra Leone, but then a path can be from China to Sierra Leone. So the path you took from China to Sierra Leone is the path, but Sierra Leone can be your directory. China can be your directory, but the path is what the road you took from Sierra Leone to come to China. So I hope that example or that illustration helps. So here we can see the option it gave us, get working directory. So once I click on press on the enter key, R is going to complete the command for me. And if I hit on enter, now I can see my working directory now is draft C, users, and then this username, and then document folder. So meaning my current folder that I'm working in is document folder. But like I answered a question from the person just now, indirectly or technically, it can also be a path. So even though it's showing you your working directory, but it also shows you the path, the road you took to reach at that directory. So this is how you can get your working directory. You can also set your working directory to whatever path. Wherever on your computer, maybe if it's on your desktop, or it's on maybe picture, or whatever place you have that data set you want to work with, you can create that path. I will show you the command to do that, but another easy way to do it, if yours is already open, look down here on the files and choose any folder that you want to work with as your working directory. So we can take, for example, let me just take research, let's say research work. So I can right click on this one, or just choose the option right here to select it. After I select this one, meaning this folder, I want to use this folder as my working directory. So when I click here to select this one, I can come here to More. From More, I can see Set Working Directory. I can also move files and folders from place to place, from directory to another directory. I can also copy the path of this folder or of this directory, research work. I can copy the path here, or I can also just copy only the folder and move it somewhere. But I want to set this folder as our working directory, or as my working directory. So you can also find another folder on your computer that you are seeing, and then you just click here on Set Working Directory. So once I do that, you can see here, it gives me the absolute path. So when I try to check now my new directory, I can use the up and down arrow key on my keyboard to give me previous command that I've entered. Meaning I don't want to re-tap the commands. So I can use the up and down arrow key to give me the command that I've used before. So that's what you just saw. So when I hit on enter again, now I can see that it's still in the same document, because this folder is also in the same document area. Document is still the same way, but I can use set WD, meaning I want to set my working directory. I want to set my working directory. So when you set WD, now I have to put the path. This way is the difficult way of doing it, meaning you have to get a path of that directory. So you have to come to your computer, and then let's say you have all of your work, probably, let's say in images. I'm just going to use one. So I'm going to click here on images. So when I come here, you can see in the top, let me just go back here. Here is the same as the path to this directory called images. So when I come here, I just click behind this one, and you're going to see that it's going to copy everything here. So I can either right click on it and copy, or I can use Ctrl+C to copy it. Now when you go to RStudio, it's not going to be the same. But one thing you have to do first, to open a quotation mark, open a double quote, and then you can paste Ctrl+V to paste that which you have copied, the path that you have copied. But if you run this one, it's going to give you error. Now you see, I just ran it, give me error. The reason why it gave me error is that in arrow works with when it comes to path or directory, it works with the /. It works with the /. But if you look carefully, you will see that in this one, the slash here is backward. It's not leaning forward. So that means we have to change all of the backslash to a forward one. So we find everywhere we have a backslash and then we change it to a forward one, which is time consuming. If you have to do this, it's time consuming. So now when I press enter, that command has been executed. So let's now see, get WD now and see what happened. So now you can see my current directory is now this new path. Is no longer on drive C user in this place. Now my current directory is now on this place. So if you have all of your data set in that place, then it's going to be good for you. Yeah, we can also, let's say, for example, we want to make this one, Research 2023, we can also copy the path of this one, and let's see if we can make use of it. So if we copy the path of that one, once you copy the path, arrow will give you, by default, the correct path, which is the forward slash. It's not going to give you the backward one. Arrow is going to give you the forward one. So let me open this guy. Arrow is going to give you the backward one. If you have any question, you can make use of the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask a question. So right now, I've just opened the Research 2023 folder. I can come here and set this as our working directory. So now you have seen that it have changed to Research 2023. So if I check my working directory now, by using get WD, the path should now change to document Research 2023. Our path have changed. So I think we have talked much on that. Now let's move on. We can also delete a folder or a file. We can also create this one. We already talked about it when we displayed the file option. You can also rename it, and the more option, we just talked about it. So plot is when you start to generate graphs, which you're going to see basically on tomorrow or the last day. When you start to generate graphs, all of our graphs will now be shown here on plots. So plot is where all of our graph will be shown. Packages means you want to see all of the packages that you have, or you want to install new packages. In Arrow, you're basically working with packages. For example, if you want to import CSV or Excel document, you need to have the right package for that process. So we're going to see which package works for which thing shortly. So there are a few packages I want us to install for this training. Some of us just joined today. I hope we can have link to this wonderful teaching. So the training started today, actually. So if you just joined today, that means you are joining day one. So you're going to see different packages that we can work with based on different things we are working with. So do not get confused on if you have to install all of the packages. Basically, help, as the name is, you can be able to see help of different things. For example, maybe you don't know how to run certain command, or you don't know the importance or probably the description or whatever thing you need to know about setting command. For example, we just use get WD, set WD, all these commands, we have just used them. One thing you can do to understand it better, you can use the help area here, and then you come to search, and you spell get WD. So you see the option will be pop up here. You can choose it, and then Arrow is going to automatically give you every other detail you need to know about that particular keyword, that phrase, or that package. So everything you need to know about get WD, you can find everything on here with other examples, and then you can make use of it as well. It's very, very useful. because maybe there are some things you're going to be talking about and you don't understand them. You can always make use of the help, and then you search for that thing. Another way you can search for it is you can use a question mark. All right. Use the question mark. For example, maybe you want to check for or to know how you can get the mean, the mode, the median of probably your data, but you don't know how to execute or write the command to get the mean of your data, the mode of your data, or probably whatever thing you're looking for. So one way you can do that is to use the question mark, and then you spare that thing you want to find, or you want to understand how to get a code or probably how to use it. So question mark and the name of the package, question mark or the name of the keyword, and then you can run it. So after tapping here, you just come here, you see an option here, run. So you can run it like this. That's one way. Another way, you can highlight it, and then you press Control and Enter key on your keyboard. So I hope the recording can be sent. Yeah, we talked about that already. We will find a way to send the recording. So you can highlight it and use the Control key and Enter on your keyboard to also run this, or you just click behind this line and then you click on Run. So once you do that, you can see automatically it open up the help session. And from the help session, you can see we search on mean, and it gives you every other thing you need to know about mean and every other instruction and commands that you also need to follow once you want to get the mean of a value. So basically, these are all of the things we need to know from the interface of R. If you have any question, you can ask before we move on now to what we have for the next part of today's section. If you have any question, please unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can use the chat box to ask a question. Any question, or if everything is clear to you, please use the chat box and just tap clear or understood. You can use the chat box and just tap maybe clear.
Do you have any question, please, guys?
Hello.
Okay.
If you have any confusion,
Yes.
you are confused in any area, please let us know, and the facilitator will get onto us. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Somebody say I should slow down a little
yes,
bit. Alfred, I get that. I will see how best I can do it.
Yes, sir. My question.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah. If you have an existing environment that is open,
okay,
and then you have information there, and now that I've opened a new script, I would like to know whether I need to have a new environment or I still continue to work with the existing one.
You're going to continue to work with the existing one, and whatever you execute will also be included under that current environment you have. So you don't have to create a new environment, or you don't have to get rid of your current environment. You can use the same environment, and every other thing will be added to that environment. Okay?
All right.
So somebody says, I want to know the use of the terminal, which is this one. So terminal basically operate like if you have used MS-DOS or command prompt, it operates the same way. So let me see if I can open it and show you probably what you can do with it, or what is opening. Let's see the next question. Due to certain circumstances with internet connectivity, I will recording. It's finding difficult to join, but it's okay now. Okay, so this is another question for me. So the person asked about terminal. If you open up your terminal, you can see also your current working directory. This basically works the same way if you have command prompt or MS-DOS, as some people will call it. So you can do a lot of things. If you want to also see all of the files, for example, on Research 2023, which is the same folder or the directory as this one, we can see all of the files here that are in that folder or in that directory. So if we want to see it, we can also do the same thing here by using a command called dir. You can use the command called dir, and then when I press enter, notice that it's also going to run and give me all of the files, folders, or whatever thing I have on in that directory. As always, what I can also do there, I can also create new folder. I can delete folder. I can also clear my entire place. I can do a whole lot of things. So this one is basically, it's another level if you have used MS-DOS or command prompt. So you're not going to use it mostly into what you have to do, but just to answer your question, that's what I'll come back to that. Somebody asked about how to clear my environment. To clear the environment, you can see here there is a brush right here. So once you click on this one, it's going to clear your entire environment. All right, so I think that's all of the questions that we have. Now let's move on to the next part. But I've not heard mostly from other people. If you have understood the first session, since you don't have question, if you have understood what we talked about before, please send 1 in the chat box. I want to know if you are still here with us, and also if you have understood what we have said. So please send 1 in the chat box if you understood everything we have said and you don't have a question. But if you have a question, you can send your question or you unmute yourself and ask your question. So I think a lot of people are sending 1, meaning they understood probably what we said. That's good. So now let's move on to, I would suggest to you, it's always good to make use of the comment section, because sometimes you might argue that you were in attendance, but then you are not recorded in the attendance record. So one way you can find yourself is by using, the administrator can also check the comment section and they can find you to know if actually you participated in the program. It's a secret trick that a secret that I wanted to share with you. So now let's move on. The next thing we want to start with is creating variables. Like many of you, you have used different programming languages. You understand something called variable or creating variable. Variable technically, or for some of you that haven't used or understand what is variable, variable can be termed basically as a container or as a box where you can store things. For example, you can have a variable which is a cartoon or a box that is storing probably all of your shoes, maybe all of your white shoes. Another one can be storing probably all of your clothes. Maybe another variable can be your suitcase, and that suitcase can also store different things. So variable, you can just consider it like that. It's something that stores something. Something that stores something or keep something for us to use at a later date or at a later time. An example, how can we create a variable? So let's say I'm going to use Kimmel. I don't know if that's the right way I pronounce his name, Kimmel. So I'm going to use Kimmel as an example. So Kimmel can be a variable. And inside Kimmel or within Kimmel, we can store different things. We can store probably numbers. We can store words. We can store lists. We can store data frame. We can store metrics. We can do a whole lot of things, or we can save a whole lot of things inside a variable. The same way when you have a box or a cartoon, you can decide to put whatever you want to put in your suitcase or in your cartoon. It's the same concept for the variable. And once you save that thing or you store those things in the cartoon, at any point in time, if you want to get probably a clothes from maybe your white clothes, you can go to the cartoon or the box that you have store all of your white clothes and just retrieve or get any of your white clothes from there and wear it. So it's the same concept. If you want to also use anything from a variable, you can call that variable or call a particular thing within the variable at any point in time. So let's start first. I'm going to come back to you, Kimmel. I'm not forgetting you. I'm going to come back to you. Variable can also be just a single letter, but a variable cannot be a number, or it cannot start with a number. You can include a number in between, but you cannot start a variable with a number, or you cannot start it with an underscore. Underscore means this one, or you cannot start it with a number, like maybe your variable name is 123. You cannot do that. So you can use words to start up a variable. It can be uppercase, it can be lowercase words to do that. For example, we can say maybe X as a variable. Since every time we keep finding X, mathematics say we should find X. We also keep finding X from the other side. So let's try X. Let's say X is a variable that we want to store the value 10 or whatever value we have. In R, we have two options to do this. One option is to use the alternate key on your keyboard. That is the key that has the ALT right beside the space key on your keyboard. It's called alternate. You can put your finger on that, one finger on that, and another finger is going to be pressed on the key that has the minus or the hyphen. The key that has the minus or the hyphen. So once you press that combination, it's going to give you this symbol. This symbol means whatever thing that is on the right-hand side should be kept with what we have on the left-hand side. So it can be numbers, letters, or whatever that we have on the right-hand side. Those should be saved in the variable X that is called that is on the left-hand side. Why if I mistakenly click the X on the console and close that workspace? How can I retrieve the workspace again? If you close your workspace and you didn't save it, by default, R is going to ask you if you actually want to close your workspace. So it's not going to be a mistake, because the first time you click on the X or the brush and you want to do that, R is not going to clear it automatically, or R is not going to just delete automatically. For your workspace, R is going to ask you if you want to clear or delete. For example, like this one. So now I just click on the brush and then it asks you if you want to. So after reading this and you decide to go about it, then I don't think it was a mistake, but just in case. So that's it. Please be the part of the symbol. So I'm going to repeat that, and I'll also come back to the package person that asked the question. When we get to installing packages, I will answer your question. So to use this, to get the symbol, you can hold the alternate key on your keyboard, the ALT key, and you press the hyphen or the minus sign. It's going to give you this symbol. Or you can manually tap it by less than, which is the shift less than sign. And then you can also press the minus or the hyphen key. It's also the same. For Mac people, it also be the same. The alternate key for Mac may be different. So you can use command. Try to use the command key, I think for Mac. You can also manually tap it, like I just did, or you can use another option by just pressing equal. X equal is the same as you using this sign. But in R, you're going to find this mostly. That's what I introduced it to you. But in other programming languages and stuff, and even R, you can also use the equal sign to make the value on the right-hand side to be assigned to the value on the left-hand side. So now we want to assign number 10 to X. Notice that our environment don't have anything for now. Our environment don't have anything for now. So if I run this, the meaning of this is that I want to store 10 into X. So the next time I want to use 10, I don't have to tap 10 again. I can just call X, and then 10 is going to be presented. So I can run it. And once I run it, now you can see in my environment, I've had a value here, X, and the value here is 10. Even if you import a data set, which you're going to see later on, you will also see the data set as well. If we create a data frame or metrics, you're also going to see it. Everything is going to be placed on your environment. Okay, let's create another variable again. We're now going to call this variable Kimmel. And in Kimmel, we want to now save another value, and that value probably, let's say, is 5. So again, I want to run it. So now I have Kimmel with the value of 5 and X with the value of 10. X with the value of 10. So now we have two variables. So we can also do different things with these variables. We can add, subtract, divide, multiply, and do a whole lot of things. For example, one thing we can do if we want to add, we can just directly add X and Kimmel. So X, we can say X plus Kimmel. So R is also going to give you option to always, at all times, complete some of your instructions. R is always going to do this. So it's always suggested or recommended to go with the suggestion R is going to give, because it's possible you might tap something else. Maybe the Kimmel, we spelled it using small k, and then you are tapping and then you tap maybe uppercase K. So it's going to be a whole different thing. So make sure to always go with the option that R is given. Now we have just added or create an expression X plus Kimmel. Now if I run this, we should get a result that will give us 15 in our console. Let's clear our console. We can use the brush sign here in the upper right corner. Let's clear our console and rerun it. Now we get 15. X plus Kimmel equals 15 because Kimmel was 5 and X was 10. Similarly, we can subtract by replacing this sign to a minus sign, and then we run it. We get 5 as our answer. Okay, we can also divide. We can also multiply X plus Kimmel if we multiply it. So 15 times 5, we also get an answer here as well. So that's the use of variable. You can see that the next time we don't have to say 5 times 5 again or 5 times 10, but we're just making use of the variable that we created. Another thing we can do is something called comment. Comment basically works in a way that we want to give an instruction or we want to explain our lines of code. For example, maybe I want to copy this and send to my friend, but then I want to explain what is X and this sign plus this Kimmel. Probably the person don't know. X could be anything. Kimmel could be a person name. It could be anything. So you can explain it by using a comment. And a comment, to do that, you use the pound, or people will call it also the hatch. So you can use the hatch or the pound, and then make use of, let me just mute this person. So make use of this, the pound or the hash, and then whatever thing you tap, maybe now you can say X is 10, or X representing the value 10, and Kimmel is 5. So this one is just explaining what this one is actually doing. So X is 10 and Kimmel is 5. Or you can even say X is multiplied by Kimmel. Whatever description you want to give to make the person understand that this line is executing this thing. It's a good way to explain your code. If you have any question, you can let us know. But meanwhile, while I'm doing this, let me just answer the person that talks about package. One package we're going to use moving forward is to install Tidyverse. So to install a package, you can use the command install. So once you tap install, arrow is also as well going to pop up or try to complete the command for you. So if you say install the packages, once you press enter, arrow is going to complete that. In the parentheses, you also want to open a double quotation and you tap the name of the package that you want to install. Later on, we're going to explain these packages and their usage. So the first package we want to install is Tidyverse, Tidyverse. So if you run this, it's going to install. Another thing, to answer your question specifically on packages, another thing you can do, all of these ones you are seeing here are the packages that I already have. Some of you will also see some there for you. By default, your arrow comes with some packages or libraries by default. So if you scroll down, you're going to see everything you already have. But then you also have an option to install new packages or update your packages. So the same way we just type this command, install packages Tidyverse, we can just come here and click on install, and then we tap the name of that package we want to install. So we can also spell the same Tidyverse here. Okay, we can spell the same Tidyverse here, and then we click on install. It's also going to install the same thing for us, right? You can even do it from your console and tap the same thing, install the packages, and then inside a double quotation, you tap the name of that package. So I'm going to recommend that you use the console to run that command. And everyone, please try to install this now. And then I already have it. So if I try to install it, it's going to ask me to reboot or restart. So whatever you are now, I just want you to install the same thing. I already have it, so I should pop up and ask me if I want to install this or restart my arrow. So please try to run the same command. Please try to run the same command. Install the packages in a quotation. You put Tidyverse. If you have installed it already like mine, you can see that you will see all these red things. So do not be, they are just warning. It does not mean error, it's just warning. Okay, so the main thing you should look for down here, you see package, Tidyverse, successfully unpack, meaning successfully install. So installing a package in Arrow is very easy and it's just on a go. It's not something you have to go and download from somewhere and then you come to install here. No, just tap the name of the package and Arrow is going to install that package for you. So Tidyverse gave us option to do so many things, which I want us to explore, and then we can later on see probably what we have done. So if you have installed your Tidyverse or if you have run this command, please let us know in the chat box. I'm going to also send this. I'm going to send this in the group, also, I mean in the chat box also, so you can see the instruction. So if you have already installed this, please let us know in the chat box, or if you can hear me. Okay, Don, Daniel, Karim have already, Orman already installed. That's good. So that's how you can install a package. You either install it here or you come here and install it. You have different options of installing it. If you want to verify if that package was successfully installed, you can come here to packages, and then you also have the same option to search. It did not show successfully installed. What did it show? So you can also come here to packages, and then you search for the package. For example, we just installed Tidyverse. So when we search Tidyverse, we should be able to see that package. If you are not seeing it here, meaning it was not successfully installed. If you want to read more about the tidyverse, you can click on it, and then Ara is going to give you a full documentation on the tidyverse, what the tidyverse is used for, and probably almost every other thing you need to know about the tidyverse. So later on, we're going to see probably what it is used for and what are other things that it have. Can you do it again for us to install? Okay. So in your console, I'm going to clear my console here. In the console, you can tap install. Once you tap install, Ara is going to pop up or bring up a suggestion. And that suggestion, the first one in blue, I want you to click on enter on your keyboard, or you can even use your mouse and just press on the first one. Easy like that. And then inside this parenthesis, I want you to open double quotation. You open double quotation, and then inside this quotation, you tap the name of the package you want to install. For example, we want to install tidyverse, T-I-D-Y-V-E-R-S-E. We want to install tidyverse. So after this, you just press on enter, and then Ara should just do its magic and install the tidyverse for you. Ara will do a magic and install the tidyverse for you. So this is how you can do it. So once it is installed, you will see here, package, tidyverse successfully unpacked, meaning it was successfully installed. The second one from your device is what is showing only our ring. You can see tidyverse. I have tidyverse in our ring. So if you cannot see tidyverse here, that means it was not installed. You have to install again, run the same command again. So once you install it, check here and see if tidyverse is popping up. That's another way to check it. Another way also, yeah, the person I just sent a screenshot, meaning Bala. Tidyverse is already installed. That's the instruction you are seeing there. Package tidyverse successfully unpacked means successfully installed. Also, to know if it is installed is another way to see how you can use it. So you can put here library, and then inside here you tap tidy. Once you tap tidy, it's going to bring up all of the packages that you already have installed that starts with TIDY. And among them, we can see tidyverse. If tidyverse is not installed, you will not see tidyverse among this list. If tidyverse is not installed successfully, you will not see tidyverse on that list or among this list. So it's another way to verify if tidyverse is installed. So if new people have already installed it, you can let us know as well. So that's one package that I wanted us to install. And then let's move on. So the next thing we want to now see is something called data structure. Data structure. So now let's explore data structure. We have already explored variable and assignment. If you check on the flyers that were shared with you, the lesson should cover variable and assignment. Now we are also going to explore data structure. So if you have installed it, please let us know. If you have not, please let us know as well if you have any problem. Then we're going to see how we can help. So for data structure, we have 5 different kinds of data structure. We have vector. We also have metrics. We have list. We have data frame. And we have factor. Okay? So we have vector. We have metrics. We also have another data structure. We have list. Another one we have is data frame. Another one that we have is factor. So these are the 5 main kinds of data structure that we have. So now we're going to explore each of them and see what are they. They're also going to be very useful if we start to do data manipulation and also work with our graphs, graphing our data and all of that. We're also going to see how this can be useful. So the first one is vector. Vector, they are one-dimensional array that can hold numeric, character, or logical data. Vectors, they are one-dimensional arrays that can hold numeric, character, or logical data. Now let's see how we can create a numeric data. A numeric data type. So we can decide to use the same numeric, or we can use any name that we want to use, but just so that we can remember the name of our variable, which is very recommended, that whenever you are creating a variable, you want to put a name that is going to make you remember what that variable is holding. We have already talked about variables, so if you still don't understand what is a variable, then you can ask later. So we're going to create a variable name called numeric. And then we're going to say numeric vector. This is not standard. It's just a variable name. We're just creating a name. So this name, or this variable name, we want to save numeric vector into this variable. That's why we just want to name this thing numeric vector, so that we can remember that this is a vector, but the kind of vector that it is a numeric vector. So in this numeric vector, we want to save numbers since it is a numeric vector. So we can say C, and then we open a parenthesis. What is C? Somebody might ask. C means concatenate. Concatenate. So we want to get all of the numbers we're going to list here. If you check before, we just put one number here. So there is no need of us concatenating or combining numbers to save into a single variable. Okay, there was no need for us to concatenate because it was just a single number. But now the reason why I use C and in a parenthesis is because I'm going to put many numbers. So concatenate, and then maybe I want to put the different numbers for maybe from 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Meaning I want to save 5 numbers in this variable called numeric vector. Numeric vector. So if I run this, now you can see in my environment, I have a new variable that has been created called numeric vector, and it's holding a number from 1 to 5. It's holding a number from 1 to 5. How do I change my name in this meeting ID? Somebody will answer that question, but you can just go to participants, and then you will see an option that is there right beside your name. Your current name is Joseph. So right beside your name, Joseph, you'll see an option there for you to rename yourself. So it's possible. So you can see the variable was added to our environment. Now let's create, this is how we can create a numeric vector. Now let's create character vector. So we're creating a character vector as well. And then character vector meaning we want to save a lot of characters or words inside this variable. So always we put our concatenation here. Since we are dealing with many numbers or words, we always use our concatenation. If it's just a single word or single letter, then there's no need of using C and parentheses. So inside this one now, we want to save maybe A as, it could be anything. It can be a name or full name of a person. It can be full name of a thing, whatever it is, it can be like that. So now you can see that these are all characters. These are not numbers. So that's the reason we are using or putting them in a quotation, because they are characters. Numbers, we don't have to put it in a quotation. It's the same not only for R, but it's the same for other programming languages. If you are dealing with screens or characters, you can put them in a quotation. But if you are dealing with numbers or assigning numbers, you just leave it as it is without a quotation. If you put it in a quotation, that means you are considering that number to now be a letter or a character. So if I change A to 1, meaning this is no longer number 1, but it's just considered to be letter 1. So there's not going to be something that you can add to say 1 plus 1. So this is now considered to be a letter if you put it inside a quotation. So if we run this one again, we can now see that character vector was created. And it's storing characters from 1 to 3. And then you can see the 3 characters that it is storing. So let me know if you have already done this one that I just posted here, so that we can move on to matrices. So please let me know if you have done the same thing with me. Okay, thank you, Alfred. Rebecca also, thank you. Daniel, Mustafa, Lamin, all right. A few people are following. Idrissa. So a lot of other people, I don't know if you joined using your phone or what's the issue, because these ones are just basic things. So if you cannot follow, then if we start to generate complex graphs and we start to play with huge data set, it's going to be a problem for you. So it's better you flow along. If you have any question, that's why we are here. Pause us. If we are too fast, also pause us and ask us like, oh, you said something, but I didn't understand what you said. Then I can come back to it and keep explaining to make you understand. But if you are just here and listening without reacting, it's not a good thing. Not only for me, but also for you. So that's it. So the next thing we want to see is on the data structure is something called matrices. Many of us have used matrices or have played with matrices in so many ways, even in our calculus or in normal life. So to create a matrix, they are not like the vectors. Matrix, they are 2-dimensional arrays that can hold elements of the same type. Matrix are 2-dimensional and they can hold elements of the same type, different from vector. So how do we create a matrix? We can now create a matrix using, let's say we want to now use another person name. I'm going to use Edmond. So we can create a variable name called Edmond.
Hello, please.
Hello.
I'm sorry. Yeah. And on the area of numeric vectors, I was getting some network issues, so I was not getting you. I was getting some breaking.
Okay. Also, you're using iPhone,
here.
so maybe it's going to affect your certificate. You want to change your name from iPhone to your real name. So
I think I've done that before.
You rejoin, as you just said. So your iPhone register again, so you have to rechange.
Yeah, we are not saying it. You can register through your real name so that we can, because at the end of the training, we are going to take attendance.
Okay,
and if
okay, I will do it again.
We cannot justify that this is your real name. iPhone cannot register. So please register with your right name, and at the end of the day, your real name is going to be
registered.
Some
network issues, really. I'm getting some network issues.
Okay, don't worry. We'll also see how best to put the videos online. And you can contact Mr. Massaquet at all times, and then he will share the links with you. So don't worry. So for numeric vector, what you said you stop, numeric vector, they are 1-dimensional arrays that can hold different things. So we just created one numeric vector, and then with this, does the space in between the line matters? You start tapping on line 11. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can decide to even push this one down and go on. So this one, when I started with this one, I said it's more of like a notebook. So inside your copybook or your notebook, You can decide to start writing from the middle. You can skip different pages. Maybe consider these numbers as pages. So you can decide to start writing from different pages. Doesn't matter if you start writing from number 1 and all of that. Doesn't matter. So for numeric vector, where you have the problem, so we want to save a lot of numbers. It can be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever numbers we want to save. We can save it together in one variable. Before we save only one number, so that's why we didn't use the C as concatenate or join. Join all these numbers inside this variable. Now, it was just the single number, 5 or 10. So there was no need for us to use concatenate or C. So that's why we put it in a C. I think that's the only difference between this numeric vector and this one. This one is also a numeric vector, but it's storing one number. This one is a numeric vector as well, but it's storing more than one numbers. So that's the difference. Now let's see how we can create metrics. One way we can create metrics is we can specify the variable name. And we already taught what is a variable name. So a variable name is Edmond. And then in Edmond, we now want to save or create a metrics. But then we have to now use a keyword. If we just say Edmond, Edmond is not a name of any metrics universally. Edmond is just a variable name. So we have to use the keyword metrics. All right? We use the keyword metrics, and then inside this quotation, inside these parentheses, we now want to specify the kind of metrics we want to create. How many rows, how many columns we want to have for our metrics. So one way is we can say we want to create a metrics that are going to save or have up to 6 numbers from 1 to 6. So the metric is having 6 numbers. And then these 6 numbers, we want to have the number of rows. So we say n rows, number of rows, n rows equal, we specify, we say 2 rows. And then we put a comma and we say number of columns. N col, we enter for it to complete the command and we say 3. So if I run this, if we check here in our environment, we can now see a data that was created, and this one is a matrix called Edmond. Okay, so we have 1 row. The number of rows is 2, and the number of columns is 3 values there. So now we can be able to see this matrix. To see this matrix, we can print this matrix out, or we can click here on this variable name in our environment to also see it. So one way, let's print it. Even for chemo, X, and all these things, if we want to see it also, we can print it. So we can use print, and then you put the name of that variable that you want to see or you want to print. Print in a parenthesis the name of the variable, which is the same as this name, Edmond, and then we run it. So you can see below here in our console area, we have this matrix that is 3 by 2 matrix. And it have the value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We specify the number of rows to have 2 values. Okay, and the number of columns should have 3 values. So this is our matrix we have just created. You can use this to create giant size metrics or whatever metrics you want to work with. At any point in time, for example, we use the keyword metrics. If you want to understand this metrics and other things you can do with it, you can press the F1 key on your keyboard. But before you press it, make sure that your cursor is blinking on the word metrics. Let your cursor be blinking on the word metrics, and then you press F1 on your keyboard, function 1. Or you can even come in here and you spell matrices. Okay, so for matrices and metrics are just going to be British and an American way of spelling, but you can still see the same, it's the same interpretation. So here you can read everything you need to read about metrics and how to use it. So here you can see this is the uses. We specify metrics and the data, and then the number of rows, the number of columns, and all the other things you want to put. So it will even explain what is n row. N row means the desired number of rows. N col means the desired number of columns. Bar row means this. So every other thing that you are using for that command can also be explained. So it just is a very, very useful tip. So everything that we are using that you don't understand, you can always use the help, or you just come here to that word, that keyword, and you press F1 on your keyboard. So we have just created a matrix. Now the next thing we want to create on the data structure is a list. For lists, they are versatile structures that can hold elements of different types. Lists can hold all of what we have created before. Lists can hold vector. Lists can hold metrics. Lists can hold any other list, any other thing. So just as you have a list of things you want to go and purchase in the market, maybe that list can contain maybe your food, it can contain sneakers, clothes. So list contains different things. It's the same concept in our daily lives that programmers bring to a computer. So whenever we hear the name, our first thought should be about real life. That's the concept. So to create a list, we can create a list by also putting a variable name. For example, let's create a variable name called, let me take one person name here from the comment section. I'm going to use Bala. So we can create a variable name Bala. This Bala now, it's serving as a list that is going to hold any other thing we want to put inside this list. For example, now that we say it's a list, we also have to specify the keyword list. The same way we specify the keyword metrics to know that it is a matrix, we also have to specify the keyword list. And then inside this parenthesis, we now want to specify all of what we want to have on our list. For example, we say that a list can hold different elements, including vector, metrics, and all kinds of things. So let's say, for example, we want to hold, for example, numeric vector. So once I tap NUM, I can see all of the options that I have, one of which is the numeric vector that we created. So I can just come here easily and choose numeric vector, or I can tap it myself. But it's time consuming, and there's a possibility that I might make mistake when tapping it. Maybe I might not include the underscore, and then I say, oh no, my code is giving problem. My code is giving problem. But we don't carefully check the name of what we tap. So to avoid those problems, I'll give us suggestions of things that we have saved or things that we have already. So I'm going to go with this, meaning I want my list to contain numeric vector. I also want my list to contain character vector. And I want my list to also contain the metrics Edmond. So EDM, now I can also add Edmond to this list. So now we can run it. And now you see that we have created a list called Bala. Now this list contains 3 different things or 3 different items. And exactly as you saw it, it contains numeric vector, number 1, character vector, number 2, and Edmond, number 3. At any point in time, we can interact with this list. Since this list have different things, we can call out specific things. For example, we can call out the first element of that list. So we can create a variable named first element. It's just a variable name, so don't get confused. We just want to get a first element. So we say first element from this list, man list, but this list now is called Bala. Okay, and then from Bala, what do we want to get? We want to get the first element. So we open double bracket and we put 1 inside the inner bracket. So if I run this, I'm going to get a new variable called first element. Here you can see unknown values. So our environment, we have first element. And first element is only calling out the first item on our list, which is numeric vector by default. And if we even look from here, we can even see the answer without printing first element. We can see the result here is 1 to 5. And this is corresponding to our numeric vector 1 to 5. Meaning we have just called out. So when I come here and I print, I say print first element. Once I print this, let me clear my console. Once I print this, observe that I'm going to get a result 1 to 5 because it's the first element. If I change this to number 2, and then I'm just going to run it again. So first element now is character, but you can change the name from first element maybe to second element like that, but I don't want to waste much time. So second element you can see is corresponding to the character vector, because from our list, we can see after numeric, we have character vector. So character vector was storing characters. We can also see it from here, ABC. So when I print it again, first element, now I can get characters. Similarly, when I also get the last one, and I run it, I'm also going to print it out, and we can see it give us the matrix, because matrix was the last item on our list, or item number 3. So let me know if you have done this, because the next 2 things we're going to view today will be data frame and factor. These are the last 2 things we're going to view after this one, data frame and factor, for us to conclude on data structure. So if you have done this, let us know. Daniel, Karim, let's go. Mohammed, Sanko, Kemo, thank you as well. Idrissa, thanks for the feedback. Rebecca. Now these 6 people, they are consistent and always on time. Abdul, Chroma, Alpha, Kamara, thank you guys so much. So that's how you can work with list. That's
hello.
how you can, yeah, hello.
Yeah, I'm having a big problem here. Here I'm typing, let me say, a numerical vector, but the vector is not appearing. So I don't know what.
Which one? The first one? This one that is here?
On the list, Bala. So, just after the parentheses, so I typed numerical vector, but what appeared was numerical version. So
the first problem would be if this one was not run, it will not appear here to list.
Okay.
So you have to make sure you run each of these lines.
Exactly. So okay.
Yeah. So after you run it, then if you tap numeric vector, once you tap NUM, you will see it in the options.
Sure. Okay. Sure. Because I didn't run the numerical vector.
Yeah.
In the first place. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. No problem.
Okay.
So now let's see how we can work with another thing called data frame. They are very powerful. And as we move along, you will understand why we are taking this step, and you appreciate why we even started like this before going further. So data frame, they are more of like 2-dimensional heterogeneous data. So it's similar to what you have Microsoft Excel spreadsheet or maybe SQL tables. They are all similar to data frame. So now let's see how we can create a data frame. So to create a data frame, I'm going to use somebody else's name here. I'm going to use, let's see who was the first to respond to this, Daniel. I'm going to use Daniel to create our data frame. Daniel now would be having these values inside of him called a data frame. So to specify the same way we stated metrics to know that there's a matrix, we state a list to know that there's a list. We can also specify data frame, data frame. So we specify that. It's okay now?
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
please. Yes, and the output, like you say, the print first element.
Okay.
For my own answer, the numbers are not in parentheses. I don't know what's wrong.
Which number? The one that is the result that is coming out?
Yeah.
Or this number that is here? Which number is not coming in parentheses? In the list or in the first element?
In the first element.
So you type it the same way like this. So first element is another variable name. So you can type first element or any name you want. It can be machine or any name you want. So okay. It's a different variable name. And then you are assigning the list. You are assigning the list bala. And the third element or first or second one, but in a double bracket. And then the double bracket, we are using the innermost bracket is where we are typing the numbers that we want.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me send these ones in the chat box so you can take a screenshot.
It's done.
It's okay now?
Thank you. Yes, yeah, thank you.
All right, that's good. Okay, so let's create now our data frame. And this data frame is called Daniel. This data frame is called Daniel. So Daniel, we can decide to just tap everything along the way, or we can also press enter because I want to have a good view of what I want to tap. So if you notice like the parentheses, one is up here, one is down here, it doesn't matter. So in between, let me just go back. So the parenthesis is always like this whenever we call it, right? So I can also tap the same thing script without opening the parentheses separated like this. But I can also open it like this, and then I tap whatever I want to tap. So that's one thing I need us also to know. So inside this data frame, which we are saving everything into the variable called Daniel, we want to have something called ID. And this ID, we want to also save so many numbers of IDs. If it was just one number, we could just say ID equal 1, or ID equal 5, or ID equal 10. And also ID is a variable name. ID is not something fixed or something that you have to memorize. You can change ID to student ID. You can change ID to whatever thing you are using in this case. So ID 1, 2, 3. Let's move on with that. And I just don't want to have only ID inside this data frame. Maybe I'm creating a whole different information system for people. So I want to have ID, student ID, and you also want to maybe get the student name. So name can also be another variable. Name can now be different names. But remember, names are all characters. Names are characters. So we want to save our characters inside a quotation like we did for character vector. So that's the reason why we did one step at a time. We introduce something because as we move along, we will use that thing. So I don't want us to be confused. That's why we are going in this pattern. So inside name, we can have, for example, Alice. Inside this name also, we can have another one called Bob. You can use any name you want. It doesn't matter. And inside this name, we can have another name called Charlie. Or I can also decide to use different names of people here on this platform. So we have 3 names. Now the next thing I want to do, I just don't want names. If I just want name and ID, I can just proceed and try to print or save my data frame. But I also want to get age. I want to get age of these people that I'm creating. So age, remember, age is a number. I also want to get different ages, maybe for example, 25. I also want to get 30, and I also want to get 35. Remember the numbers, they are not static. The numbers can be changed to whatever number we want to use. So now what I want to do here, I want to run this. And now if you observe, Daniel has been created in our environment with 3 observations and 3 variables. So we can now see for data frame, we can now, the views we're getting before, if I try to print Edmond, you can just see here in our console, it just come up in our console, but observe the difference. If now we try to print Daniel, we're going to see it differently. So we have 2 ways to view this information. For example, we can print Daniel. Let's print Daniel. So if I print Daniel, I can see down here, ID, name, and age. So ID 1 is corresponding to Alice, and the age is 25. ID 2 corresponding to Bob, and the age is 30, like that. But another thing that we can do, we can use something called view. View, and then Daniel. So view is going to function or almost give us something like a different view instead of using the console. So let's see, if I use view, remember, if you are tapping view with me, the V is a cap V, uppercase V, not small v. And this view is a keyword. View is a keyword, and the first letter is cap. So when I run this, you can see that it gave us a different. You can see that it gave us different view, right? Other than what we have been seen or shown before. Now it gave us something like an Excel spreadsheet, where it gave us the name, the ID, and all of these things. Now we can see a clear view of what we just created in our data frame. Also, we can click directly on our data frame to get the same view. Once I click here, I will also get the same thing. But if you observe and you look carefully, in the console, you will see that it tapped the same command for us automatically. So I just show you 2 ways to do it. You can tap the command by yourself, or you can just come here and click on the data, and then it's also going to show you the same thing. What about summary? Summary is also going to do the same. We're going to see how to use it. But then summary, like we said, it's English and maybe British English and all of that. You can also, but we'll use summary for numbers, right? We'll use it for numbers so that you can see the better view of summary. So this is for your question. I think that was Daniel. So you can see the summary of that. You can see the summary also of what you just talk about. So it's also possible, probably maybe if you have used Stata or SPSS, that's why you asked about summary. The same option is also here in RStudio as well. So that's it. If you have done it, please send 1 in the chat box. If you have done what we just did, created a data frame before we create the last one. If you have done it, please send 1 in the chat box. I think we have a lot of smart people here, because I remember the last training that I did, so many people was left behind. Salon people, you sabi book. You sabi book. So that's good. We can also access specific element within our data frame. It shows you error, Saidu. So you can also send a picture of your error that is sent to you in the chat box. take a screenshot and send in Zoom chat box. We will also see the error it gave you. One more thing we can do with this before we move on, we can also view, for example, the first row. So we can say maybe first row, or let me use Saidu as a variable. And this variable is going to keep the first row of, this variable is going to keep or show us the first row of our data. So we can say, for example, we want to see only the first row. So our data is called Daniel. And then what we want to get is the first row. So we also open our bracket like we saw before. And then 1 meaning the first row combined. And then nothing will be tapped at the end. So we just created Saidu. And we can also view Saidu directly from here, or we can tap View Saidu. So when I click here on Saidu, I can see the first row, just the ID, the name, and age of that first person. So probably you have, maybe you created this entire thing, you make it very long. Maybe after here tonight, you can go and increase the name, increase the ID, increase the age, and all of that. And they just want to get probably only the first row or the second row. If you want to get only the second row also. So you can also view it like that. Now you can see only the second row with this. Now that you have created your data frame, how can you save it for future use or to store it in your flash drive? So your data frame and everything here, they are saved in your environment. Now, with this environment, you can save it by you can save your entire environment by pressing on this save button. And then I is going to ask you where you want to save it, similar to what you can do with your normal computer. So, but we also have another option wherein we can be able to save or export the entire data frame. So we're going to do data import and export tomorrow. And I'm going to show you how you can export specifically, maybe Saidu, or specifically Daniel or Bala. You can save specifically these things and save it to your computer or save it directly to your hard drive as you have asked. So please, I will just take a screenshot of your question. And then tomorrow we will solve your problem using data import and export. I don't want to maybe cover it now. It might raise other question and we'll have to dive into it. So because of time, we have 2 minutes. 1 minute. I don't like to keep people waiting. So I'm going to just run this code lastly. It's the last one. Like I said, 5 different things on data structure. We have factor. So let's create the last one called factors. And then that will be the end of today. I will turn over to the AEC and the Student Union leadership to say whatever they have to say as I depart from you guys. So the last one is factor. Factors, they are used to handle categorical data by storing the data as levels. So let's create a factor quickly. I'm going to use Aliu. So Aliu is going to be that variable that's going to save or store all of our factors. And since I want to use factor, I have to spell out factor as the keyword. And then inside factor, I also want to list all of what I want to have in the factor. For example, I want to have male. We're going to show you how effective factor can be. Maybe you have duplicate stuff, male and then female. Okay. And then probably I also want to create another female again. And then lastly, I want to create male. So when I run this one, notice that we have now Aliu as our factor. But if I print Aliu, observe what happened. Firstly, it shows me all of what I have in that variable called Aliu. But then factor gave me levels. Since I just repeated male, females, so it just tell me like there are just 2 levels in that entire factor. I have male and just female. So there's no need of keep printing or repeating male, females, male, females. So that's the benefit of factor. John Led, can I have record of this section? Yeah, we'll see our best to generate a recording. So Mr. Masakwa will get onto that. So because of time, I'm going to stop here. And if you have any question, you can ask. If you don't have, I'm going to stop sharing, and then Mr. Masakwa, you can go ahead. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. So
Mr.
you can go ahead. I think there is no question, so you can go ahead.
Yeah, without any question from our prestigious participants, on behalf of the Academic Excellence Committee and the Sierra Leone Students Union, we want to extend our heartfelt thank you to our able facilitator for this impactful knowledge gained over a short period. And before I actually end, I don't know, Mr. Lovell, do you have anything to say before I proceed?
No, Chairman, you can go ahead and just take record of the attendance.
Okay. I think Mr. OLANO, you have the you own the Zoom account. I don't know if you can take records of the attendance now.
You can just take a screenshot of the.
Yeah, I'm using my phone. my laptop was not.
All right. First, what you do, just take a screenshot, like normal screenshot. There's another option called Snappy Tools. You can also use it, but just take a screenshot, like each screen you are flipping on. And then
okay.
As you flip, you take a screenshot of it.
Okay. Please, guys that have joined with the iPhone, because I saw iPhone. We cannot distinguish which of the iPhones belongs to you. So please, the only way we can identify you through your picture or the comment section. But tomorrow, when we are going to continue the meeting, you can please, adjust your name, your device name to your real name, because we are going to work strictly by the attendance. If you missed out any day, you are not going to be awarded with a certificate. So please stay on. And
they can turn on their cameras now, so that maybe in case the person is using iPhone.
Yeah.
So once the picture is shown, it can also serve as a proof. So please turn on your cameras as we take the attendance.
Turn on your camera, please.
Not to say me don't like keyboard, BT. Not to say me don't want keyboard, man, a couple and get for the ritual.
Mr. Masakwe.
Yeah.
Allow me to turn on my camera.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. The option is there.
But look at it. I don't know why.
If you cannot turn on, it's okay. Just no problem.
We will not allow you to turn on your camera. Sorry,
your camera is on. You cannot see yourself.
Alfred, iPad.
I know you want to see yourself, but you cannot see yourself.
Mara iPad. I don't know your surname.
Hey.
And you can as well check in case you think you are in attendance and you are not seeing yourself.
Sano, your first name. I don't know, Veronica, because some only just put their first name or second name.
Yeah,
so when the recording is sent,
I was seeing in the participants.
You can go to the video.
Yeah, Pratap. I don't know.
I saw a long number, Mohammed Bale. Okay, there is a name.
Joel.
I think that will be
beyond.
We'll emphasize on this in the group because we know waste time.
Bro, I'm trying to turn on my camera, but it's not working. I don't know.
Safa, are you done from your end?
Yeah, I'm done, Mr. OLANO.